live in a society in which two understandings are underneath. And one of them is that science, which is that chop-up thing that builds aeroplanes, that science is really the only reliable, the only really established, the only really worthwhile kind of knowledge that we have. And it's very precious. The science that we have has, for some hundreds of years already, understood to base itself on empirical testing. And that's a democratic kind of a thing. That means you don't have to believe the person, whoever the person is who claims something. It can be tested by people who don't even know that person in somewhere else. So this science that we have is the only basis for any kind of social policy that we have. And so it doesn't matter when they start to futz with the genes and when they start to build new kinds of tomatoes and animals that are combinations of cows and pigs and all sorts of horrors. It doesn't matter that this offends a lot of people and that there's a lot of political fighting about it and that it takes 5 or 6 years for people to give up fighting, because there is nothing else underneath. And so that's what's going to happen. Do you follow me? And yes, the ecology people are fighting back, and yes, we're all fighting back, but forget it. Unless we have some kind of solid something underneath, that's the only thing society can go by, for better or worse. They're not just manipulating tomatoes, they're manipulating animals. And they're collecting your genes. Do you know that they are? There is now an official government paid for gene pool. They're going to study all the genes, not just me. When they have that together, they're going to produce better people, they figure. Well, maybe they will. Maybe they will. But I think it's vitally important to get our understanding of people in there and to open that thing up to an even better understanding than ours, because our understanding of ourselves is primitive still. We haven't made the kind of advances that science has made on the physical side, and we need those. We need the advancement parallel. The advance of that chop-up science is incredible compared to the small advances that we're making right here in understanding ourselves and understanding people and understanding animals and plants. Do you follow me? So it's just vitally important that you would all start talking philosophy, if I can explain that properly. The other basis on which the whole Western culture operates now is that persons are products of culture. So you supposedly are a product of culture and history and language and society, that thing. Right? Now that's not plain false. If you know yourself, you also know to what an enormous extent that's true. See, that corrects a previous mistake, which was that we imposed our concepts and our values on other cultures. And this way we claimed that we knew what universal human nature is and those other people didn't get it, and that's just Western imperialism, and people are happy to break out of that. Okay, so that's what it's like in philosophy. You're always correcting a previous mistake, and you're so passionate about correcting that previous mistake that it's hard to see your own that somebody else is trying to show you. And so I want to say that, no, that's all terribly false. You're not a product of culture at all. And the fastest way I have of saying that is that we're all animals. And any of the animals are already somebody that's looking at you. And ever since Descartes, Western culture absolutely ignores animals. So to say it all fast, one of the breakthrough things that we have to keep saying to people is, no, whatever it is that looks out at you from this being is not a product of culture. It's elaborated by culture, it's structured by culture, it's given all kinds of opportunities by culture, it's given gestures, patterns, everything by culture. Human beings don't exist without culture. Animal species live a certain way. Human beings don't. Animal species, any species, there's a certain way of rearing children, a certain way of eating, a certain way of sleeping, a certain way of making love, across that whole species. Human beings, no. If you take away culture, there's no way to make love, there's no way to eat, there's no way to sleep, there's no way to build houses, there's no way to work, there's nothing. So it very much looks like, of course we're a product of culture, but I call that elaboration. The process of life is elaborated by culture. So if you take culture away, you get nothing. This was already known in Greek times. They said nature and nurture can't be separated. That was an old-fashioned way of saying that. My point is that if you look at any animal, it looks back at you. And whatever that is that looks back at you, that's what we are as persons also, with all of this cultural elaboration. And that's being ignored. That doesn't exist in the present social understanding. And the second fast way I have of saying something here is that we're all plants also. Plants live and they don't have perceptions. They be. A plant knows the water and the air and the earth and the sun by being what it is. And we are just like that too. Our bodies are at least plants. You know, we're animals, and we're cultural and historical and economical and electrical and every other damn thing. But we're at least plants, which means that our bodies are directly connected to the universe. Do you follow me? We are in and from, and we grow out of this much larger that is. So culture and situations are added to that, and language is added to that, and words come. You know, I'm just sitting here and letting the words come. If they didn't come, I don't know what I would do. Where do words come from? They come out of the body. They come out of the body that knows the situation. So this same body that's a plant, literally I mean, is also an animal and is also linguistic and cultural. That same body. So there's a philosopher who says, very rightly, that we don't only perceive what's in front of us, we also perceive what's behind us. Do you perceive what's behind you? You do. And then that was an attempt to break through this model of everything is perception, the five senses. How you sense behind you is not the five senses. Well, I'm extending that, because when they talk about that so far in philosophy, they just talk about the body moving in empty space some way. And I'm saying, no, you sense the situation behind you. You don't just sense the space behind you. You sense the people behind you. You're sensing not just the people, you're sensing your relation with the people, which you don't know them, but it's a situation. The body senses its situation. Do you follow me? So for a 2-cent model, I'm trying to say a body, when you feel your body, it is already living out of the universe like a plant, and it is already something that has you living in it like somebody looks out from an animal at you, and it's already living in a human linguistic historical situation.